Hello, welcome to Beach View, our podcast with Bryce and Jen, where we talk about all sorts of things. A lot of times we skew to music because that's what we like. So what do we want to get into today?
So, I thought we could do two songs on the same subject by the same artist at different times, and they have wildly different takes on that subject. So, these two songs are I Can't Believe You Actually Died by the Microphones and Real Death by Mount Eerie. I know that says they're different artists, but it's by the same guy.
Yeah, I thought this was really cool because, well, for one, I thought it was a cool subject to see the way the subject evolves for the singer-songwriter, and I had never heard of Mount Eerie. At least I don't think I have. But I have heard of the Microphones, and I didn't realize that Mount Eerie was like the same guy. So this was kind of like a cool subject for me because I was like, oh, I had no idea. But I thought it was cool. So I already said that, but it was definitely an interesting take on this subject, which obviously is death. So
Yes,
what did
from
you
the
think
titles.
about? Yes, from the titles. Yeah, the very aptly named I Can't Believe You Actually Died. And Real Death. So how did you feel about
Well,
these
first I
songs?
want to give you some background.
Okay. Yeah, I read a little bit about the background, but yeah, tell me about it.
So, these are both by the indie musician Phil Elverum. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know.
Looks right.
Yeah, but The Microphones was an indie band that started in 1996 and went from 2003. From what I know, Elverum was the primary writer and producer, but he also had other people involved with it. And this song that we're looking at was released as a single, then later released on a 2002 compilation album. So, kind of an obscure song, even for the Microphones, who are a rather obscure band. And Mount Eerie is a musical project, kind of a continuation of what he was doing with the Microphones. He just switched the name after 2003. And again, he's the principal writer and producer, but still sometimes does collaborations. And the song we're looking at here is a single from the 2017 album A Crow Looked at Me. And the album and the song are about the death of his wife, Genevieve Castry. It's French. I can't pronounce French.
You did a good job.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that you can't listen to this song and get the meaning, the real meaning, without knowing that his wife had died, I think. So that's an important part of it. Of course, the song has meaning regardless because of death being a reality that we all face. But knowing that his wife had died and this song came out of that, I think it made it, that much more meaningful.
Well, I think the album's very explicit, like in the liner notes or whatever, that this is about his wife dying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, the package you are listening to when you listen to the song is going to include that context.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think that's important to have that context. So, you listen to it in a different way. And, we've talked about context for music before. And I love the context because to me, it's like you grab that deeper meaning. Although, again, death is something that automatically has a deeper meaning. But for this particular singer, songwriter, you get where he's coming from with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess let's look at the first song, I Can't Believe You Actually Died. What did you think of this one?
I loved it. I thought it was great. As to describe it, it is kind of like it's not somber, it's not gloomy at all. It's like a kind of I don't want to say uplifting because it's not really uplifting, but it's more like just kind of a uppity song about death. Do you think that describes it?
Yeah, it's kind of upbeat. It's got like this sort of kind of folk sort of like group thing. Like it's got background singers and they're all singing along, and it starts off with like them like coming into the studio or whatever and having like a small conversation before they start playing. So
Yeah,
it's
like
definitely
it
got
kind
a
of sounded like Yeah, that folksy. It sounded like in the the little intro to the song is like, yeah, come on in, you'll pick it up. Like it sounds like the group is like playing but picking up on his cues. So it's definitely that kind of like familiarity, like folksy kind of thing. And I love that all the people, and I don't know all the people who were on the song, like they all give it that energy, and I think really cueing off of him. And I thought that was kind of cool. But as far as the song itself, the lyrics and the feeling, I think that like if you've ever had anyone, close to you or a friend or anything like that who died and it affected you, like that's the exact sentiment that you go through at first. Like it's kind of a shock, like, and you're just kind of sitting there going, wow, like I can't believe that happened. Like they were just here yesterday, or I just talked to them last week and now they're gone. Like it's kind of this like surreal, like, did this really happen? Like you're kind of in a state of shock. And even though it's truth, it's kind of like, "Oh, I just can't believe this," like, and I think for him to like talk about it. Well, first of all, was this song written after his wife died or before his wife
No,
died?
this song was written in like 2001. His wife died in 2016.
Okay. That's what I thought. So I guess I need to take back what I said about the context about his wife dying. And
The other
from
one
it,
was.
Right?
The other song, Real Death,
okay,
was
that's
written
where
after.
Okay, I got you. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so I was right on that one. All right.
Yes.
So, do we have any context to this 2001 song?
I don't know. I didn't look anything up, and I don't know if there is any.
Okay.
Like I said, it was just released as a single, and then
Yeah.
it appeared on a compilation album, so.
I would be curious to know, like, what that context is. But, I mean, he definitely, like, captured that sentiment of, like, exactly what you go through when you hear somebody died,
Well, it's a bit more than just, like, hearing someone die, because it's, the speaker's at the funeral.
Right.
And it's very, like, yeah, I guess it's, like, the emotions of that haven't really caught up yet.
Yes.
It feels very, like you said, that sort of shock. It has, like, carries sort of a sense of bewilderment.
Mm-hmm. It is. And a lot of times that's what the funeral is for. Usually the funeral is like just a few days after the person died. And you go there and you get this kind of closure, like, especially if you see the person, like, in the casket, it's kind of like, wow, this is real. It tells your brain, like, there's that person who died. It sounds goofy, but, like, if you've ever experienced that where you're just in this disbelief. I think for me, especially, like, I've had a couple of friends who had died, and it's, like, disbelief because, like, one of them was 19, and you're like, we're so young, I can't believe that person died. And then, like, you go and to the funeral and you get that closure, you see them, and you're like, wow, yeah, this is it. And so I think, like you're saying, going to the funeral and everything in the song, it is very much like, you kind of come to grasp with the reality of it. But as far as this song goes, like, it's kind of that bittersweet, like it's talking about, death, obviously, but it's like also upbeat and kind of cool. So I don't know, I liked it a lot. Did you like it too?
Yeah, I think the song's neat. I really like the instrumentation, the, like, keyboard and sort of string instruments. I don't know what exactly those are, but in the background, I think are really neat. And I think, like you said, the sort of atmosphere of the song being the sort of, like, folksy, upbeat song about death is really neat.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. It makes you want to sing along, and then you're like, oh, it's kind of a gloomy subject. I don't really want to go singing that around,
Right, which is why the like background chorus there is so interesting that sings along with it. It's definitely like a sing-along song, and that juxtaposition with the subject matter is interesting.
It is really interesting. I think it's pretty brilliant. I think they did a really good job on this song.
Alright, so next song then?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is the one that's about his wife dying.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and this is the...
So, Real Death.
Yeah, this is the opening song on that album, and it's, like, kind of a thesis statement, and I think, like, this one definitely makes an interesting comparison with the last one.
It does. It really does. So this one was done a number of years later, as you said. And this one's kind of mournful, or it's kind of like the reality, whereas the other song is kind of like, disbelief. This one's like, okay, reality hits and it's kind of sad, but it's also just a beautiful song, I think. So having those two moods about the same thing is it's very, I think it captures the emotion of death.
Yeah, and I think like the instrumentation for the two songs is very interesting because this is a much sparser production. There's like a guitar and like a bit of a backing beat that seems electronic.
Mm-hmm.
So this definitely feels like one person did it.
Yes.
Whereas the other one, you have this whole ensemble with quite a few instruments and the whole chorus, and the delivery here is very different. It's not that sing-songy, folksy vibe. This is definitely someone like really sort of getting at their emotions here.
Yes, like pouring their emotions out, on their own by themselves, whereas the other one you're feeling it as a group and you're kind of like, yeah, other people feel this way too. But this song is definitely like a solo, like this is how I really feel. And as I said before, knowing the background of it with his great loss that he suffered, it's definitely more emotional for sure.
Yeah. And lyrically, I like how this song's kind of self-defeating, almost.
Yeah.
Like, the opening is death is real, someone's there, and then they're not. And it's not for singing about, it's not for making into art.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote down, I made a note of that lyric that it's not for singing about. And I thought that was a cool lyric because, I mean, it's kind of ironic because he's singing about it.
Right, he's making it into art despite saying that.
Right. I thought that was kind of cool. Like, I actually read an NPR article talking about like his return to the microphones after so many years and making an album. And I thought this was kind of a cool quote that he said. He said, with death and life, upheaval and heartbreak, memory takes on some other weird powers that it maybe didn't have when you're younger and haven't experienced huge things like that. And I just thought that was very telling because it's true. Like, you're different. You're changed when you go through like such a significant loss. And so I just thought that was, to see his song, I Can't Believe You Actually Died, back to where you see the real death song, it's kind of like this big change. So you can tell like he's definitely experienced that huge thing of heartbreak and death.
Right, and not knowing the context of the first song, like, I Can't Believe You Actually Died could be, like, fictional, it could have not been based on any, like, one particular person or be based on, like, multiple life experiences or maybe just, entirely fictional. And I think that compared to, like that quote saying, like, once you go through that, big life experience, it's a lot different. That's why this song comes out, Real Death comes out a lot different than the other one does.
Right, exactly. Very cool. I just like when artists are very vulnerable like that and, kind of share what they're going through because it allows other people who are going through the same thing to kind of have that, that feeling of acceptance, I guess, or, just feeling not alone because other people are going through it. So I think I think both of these songs are very cool. Obviously, one's a little depressing and,
yeah.
but beautiful. It's still beautiful. And the other one is a little bit more fun and, well, I don't know if you say fun. It's about death, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Although the lyrics in Real Death are just really, like, I guess depressing, as you said it. Like, the line, the story he relays of how before his wife died, she ordered a backpack for when their kid goes to school in a few years. And, like,
yes.
Like, here's the line, you were thinking ahead to a future you must have known deep down would not include you. That's just really...
Yeah.
Like,
it's
that's
kind
very...
of eerie.
Yeah, raw emotional honesty.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he can channel that into his art, even though he says it's not something to make art about.
Alright, well, yeah, anything else to say on these two songs?
No, I think we've covered it. So if you need a song about death, you got two of them right here.
Two very
from
different
same guy, Phil.
responses to it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. So I also have.
Oh, real quick, before
Sure.
it's something I want to mention about. I can't believe you actually died. I really like the line at your grandma's church at the funeral. I held a baby. That
Yes.
I think that's kind of like funny almost.
It
Like
is.
that's the end of the thought. It goes back into the chorus after that.
So, and it could have another meaning or it could not. So, what is interesting is that you have a new life, that he's holding, whereas the other one slipped away. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of a cool, but I think I shared this before too, but the day that we went to Travis's grandmother's funeral was also the day that we left the funeral and went to the hospital to see our niece being born. So, I mean, I didn't see the niece being born, obviously, but we got to hold the new baby on the same day that we interned the older grandmother. So that was kind of a cool irony, I guess. I don't know. I like poetic stuff like that. So I kind of thought of that. Like, I held the baby, and this song was kind of like, for one, it could be unusual that you held a baby, but for two, it could be a symbol of new life,
Yeah, and I think it's very sort of evocative of, like, just being at that place, and
Yes.
even that, like, sort of cutoff of, like, that's the only line you get, is just, at the funeral I held a baby. And,
yeah,
it goes with the emotions, that sort of bewilderment.
It does, yeah.
Anyways, I just wanted to mention that before we moved on.
Yeah, definitely cool. So, all right. Well, I picked two songs as well, and these don't have, quite the same deep meaning to them, or maybe they do. I don't know. Okay, so the songs that I chose were Blank Space, obviously original by Tay Taylor Swift, and it was redone by Ryan Adams. So Ryan Adams is an artist who actually redid the whole 1989 album, which I did not know that. So I learned that when I was looking this stuff up. But I thought it was kind of cool because Ryan Adams, I don't actually know if he has like original music or he just does covers.
I'm pretty sure he does original music.
Do you know anything about him?
I didn't hear anything about him till you mentioned him,
Okay.
but I looked him up.
He
briefly.
does do original
and he
music.
seemed to be like a singer-songwriter type.
Yes. Yeah, I did. Yes, I did see that. He has a whole catalog. I don't know why that just blanked from my mind. So you're always making fun of my jokes. Anyways,
just puns.
I know, I can't help the puns. So, as you know, we've gone through Taylor's song, Blank Space, right? Didn't we do that album?
Yes, we did that whole album,
podcasts?
yeah.
Okay. With Brenna,
Yep.
yeah. So Taylor's Blank Space is kind of like a satire, right? It's like kind of talking about this girl who, like, has a lot of, I don't want to say a lot. She has a series of, I guess, failed relationships, a series of romantic interests, so to speak. And so she's saying, like, I think she suspects her significant other of infidelity. And so she's like saying, like, I got a blank space, I'll write your name. And so it kind of just, it kind of shows, like, I'm not just this sweet girl. Like, I can get, nasty if I need to be, if you're nasty to me kind of thing, right? So but it's more like a pop song. I mean, it is a pop song. And it's fun, and it's like just a kind of, I don't know, a fun beat, I think. So what do you think about that one?
I mean, my opinion hasn't changed since the last time where I
know,
I
had a feeling bringing up Taylor was like,
not a
okay.
huge fan of it. Like, I get the appeal, but, not a huge fan.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So but you see that you have this, like, pop song.
Right, yeah.
About this kind of, revengey kind of feeling,
Right, it's a satire of, like, how people talk about her. Like, she's sort of channeling that character. Like, her media persona.
Exactly. Yeah, and I love it. I think it's great. And, so I love how she does those, those songs that are kind of, like, poking fun at, like, what people say about her, So I love that part of it. But, so let's look at the one by Ryan Adams. So he takes it from pop to this like melancholy, like just kind of a bummer of a song. Like it's kind of gloomy. I mean, it's still a good song, I think. But whereas you have this like kind of fun, poking fun, like revengey kind of song, now you have this like sad, like gloomy, like cover of it, So some things that I read, I read people were saying like, oh, this just proves that Taylor is amazing. When you hear her lyrics in this way, like it gives it more meaning. And so it's the same exact lyrics, but it's done in a completely different way. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Did he not omit some of the lyrics, or am I
He
thought
did,
he...
that part that I remember you saying you didn't like. I'm trying to think of what lyrics they were that were, but he did omit some of them. But the point is, like, the whole album that he redid, like, it's the same lyrics as she did, but
Right.
the way he sings it and like the acoustic, like his sound more like 80s rock acoustic kind of thing.
Yeah, it's definitely got that singer-songwriter vibe from that era.
Yes, as opposed to her like poppy, like fun videos and stuff. I'm bringing the videos in, but you know what I mean.
I don't know. I still
So
think this
it's
song's
just like
kind
that
of
juxtaposition.
dour.
Yes,
It's definitely got that like pop production, but it that's one of the things I don't like about this song. Actually, it feels like a slog to me
yeah,
because of how like
it
down
does.
tempo it is.
Yeah, you did mention that before. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of interesting. For one, I like came across this singer not knowing anything about him, So once I was looking into it, and I was like he legit redid the entire album. Like I don't know whether that's like, I mean, I'm sure it's like a compliment and flattering like to Taylor, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you have your own catalog. Like, I don't know. I thought that was just a kind of like, that's weird,
Yeah, I thought it was weird given that it was like, because from when I looked up, this happened like a year or so after Taylor Swift's album came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I can see doing a cover album of like a classic album or an album that's like, 15 years old at least, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like it's become sort of
Yeah.
a specific thing when you think about it, but doing an album that's very recent feels weird to me.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. I mean, and it was noteworthy because, like, I saw articles on it and stuff, like, people wrote about it and were talking about it. And so I was kind of like, oh, that's, I'm sure, like, they have permission and all the royalties go to Taylor. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure all of that's, all legit, but it's kind of like, I don't know why you would choose to do that, but it's also kind of cool because everybody loves, like, if you've ever gone to a concert and the artist that you're seeing does a cover of some other song and just puts their own, like, twist and meaning to it, like, it's always like, oh, that was cool, so I get it in a way, but at the same time, I'm kind of like going, you took all these like pop fun songs and you made them like kind of gloomy, which is a whole mood. So I guess if you're in that mood, it gives it a different feeling. It's more like like you said, it's just kind of dour and like, I don't know.
I don't know that it gives it a different feeling so much as that like giving it that singer-songwriter acoustic guitar vibe, like dampens any sort of like the pop production does a lot to keep it upbeat. Like I believe I praised the percussion when we first talked about it, but like if I didn't, I meant to. But like the percussion across the whole album is really good, and I think that really drives it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like the absence of that pop production makes it come across as like the flavor that it already is. It just doesn't have that seasoning on top, to use a food metaphor.
I like it. I love the food metaphor. Yeah, I agree with you. It's well, I do feel like it takes on like a different meaning, but I feel what you're saying as well, so I totally get that.
Well, part of it comes from I don't like the original very much, so.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, I do think it's kind of funny that, like, as I've shared, I'm not like a huge Taylor Swift, like, fangirl or anything. But, like, Brenna got me into Taylor, and, like, the more I listen to it, like, the more I talk about it and stuff. So I'm like, I guess I am. Like, she really got me into it. So you can blame Brenna for this one.
Also, I think the cover, I think the chorus is a very, like, poppy chorus. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, the melodic lines and sort of the intonation that Taylor Swift uses is a very, like, pop sort of style. And I don't think, like, transposing that into the genre, this acoustic genre, works very well. So, like, and I don't like acoustic covers in general, but when I was listening to this, I was like, okay, this, like, I see, like, this is fine. But once it got to the chorus, I was like, oh, I don't know if that really works.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought the cover song it was okay. Like, it wasn't like anything spectacular, but I think it probably fits into his whole redone album, but I didn't listen to the whole album, but I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, it works, it gives them something to do, gives people something to talk about, but yeah, I don't know, I'm always a fan of the original. I like acoustic covers, I usually do, especially like when you're in the mood to like listen to something a little more soulful. I think that, that comes across. And sometimes, like, I'm in the mood to listen to something poppy, So I like having the choice, but I mean, if I'm going to side with anyone, it's going to be the OG.
Yeah.
The original Taylor one. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of neat that, like, he legit redid the whole album. Like, I still can't get over that. Like, I just don't know why,
Yeah, I'm definitely a lot more down on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if all the Taylor Swift followers, like, also follow this guy, or if they're like, nah, I don't like it,
I don't know. Probably not. they probably stick with Taylor.
I'll have to ask Brenna. I have to ask an expert. Yeah. I would think so. I mean, it's got its own original sound, so, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I was much more down on this one than you were, so I don't know.
Yeah, you were. Well, I feel like though it's like that's a common theme when we talk about music. Like, you're a lot more critical, I think. And you also have, like, that music, theory and instrumental like background that I don't have, and so I kind of just go through life like floating in the music, like, oh, that sounds nice.
You say that, but I don't usually.
I feel like
I don't usually, like, deeply analyze these songs, just because I am really bad at hearing these things. Like, my ear training is not where it should be. So.
Oh, wait, no, I think you're much better at analyzing, like, truly analyzing the song than I am. Like, I go by, like, the mood and, like, how I'm feeling when I listen to it, or, like, what kind of mood I'm in, and like, listen, reading the lyrics and seeing how it makes me, react to them, and, like, that kind of stuff, where I think you're more on the analytical side a little bit. So I feel like when we, review music, it's kind of like you're more like, I don't know about this one, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds good.
I think it's kind of funny that I brought you, like, 2 songs, and you're like, yeah, I like these, and then you bring me this, and I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. You're like, no, these are terrible. Both of these songs are terrible. Like, get new material. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not that bad.
I need to start bringing some. I need to start getting some more, like, indie bands and stuff, like some stuff that you'll like better.
I felt like I was fair to Taylor Swift the first time we did that album. I wasn't like, this is terrible. I mean, it's just not my thing.
No, you gave it a fair listen, I think. I think it was just more like, you have, like, a diehard fan, like Brenna, and then you have you who's like, I don't know about this, and then I'm kind of in the middle, So I thought that was a good discussion, but we all have our different tastes.
Well, yeah, this kinda spun out a bit, but
A little
oh
bit.
well, that's been yeah. Unless you have anything else to say, I'll close us out.
I don't.
All right. Well, yeah, that's been 4 songs comparing the two of them, the 2 songs about death from the same artist, and then the Taylor Swift song and its cover in different genres. So that'll close out Beach View, our podcast about different things. We hope you enjoyed. Goodbye.
Bye.
I didn't mean for it to come across like that, but when I said goodbye, it was like very get out of here.